Lord of Casterly Rock, Shield of Lannisport, and Warden of the West. The head of House Lannister, Tywin Lannister, is one of the most powerful lords in Westeros, and he is the father of Cersei, Jaime, and Tyrion. Tywin was the firstborn of Tytos Lannister and Jane Marbrand, and according to legend, he bit the finger of his grandfather, Lord Gerald Lannister. Lord Tytos agreed to marry his daughter Jenna to Emmon Frey, the second son of Lord Walder Frey, just to please the Lord of the Crossing. The betrothal was announced at a feast in 252 AC, with most of the Western lords in attendance. Upon the announcement, Lord Roger Rayne left the hall in anger, with Ellen Rayne laughed out loud. Only the 10-year-old Tywin spoke out against the wedding because he thought it an uneven match. Shortly after that incident, Tytos sent Tywin to King's Landing to serve as a royal page and cupbearer at King Aegon V Targaryen's court, where Tywin befriended the young Prince Aerys Targaryen and Steffon Baratheon, the heir to Storm's End. His cousin Joanna Lannister also served at the court as a companion and lady-in-waiting to Princess Rhaella Targaryen. During the War of the Nine Penny Kings in 260 AC, 11,000 Westermen under the leadership of Tywin's uncle Jason Lannister were sent to fight beside other forces of the Iron Throne in the Stepstones. Tywin, who was already a knight, joined the Lannister force, as did his brothers Kevan and Tagat as squires. The young Prince Aerys served as a squire during the war, and when he won his knighthood, Tywin was granted the honor of knighting his friend. Upon the death of King Jaehaerys the second Targaryen in 262, the newly crowned King Aerys II retired the cautious Edgar Sloane as Hand of the King. Aerys chose his friend Tywin as the new hand, impressed by the ruthlessness demonstrated in the Rain Tarbeck revolt. Sir Tywin was the youngest man to yet serve as hand, with Tywin proving himself to be a brilliant administrator. The Seven Kingdoms prospered during the first decade of Aerys' rule. Tywin covered King Jaehaerys' debt to the Iron Bank of Braavos with gold from Casterly Rock. He gained the loyalty of many lords by repealing reforms enacted by Aerys' grandsire, King Aegon V Targaryen, and he supported the merchants of King's Landing, Lannisport, and Old Town. In 263 AC, Tywin married his cousin Joanna Lannister. Jenna Lannister said that her brother smiled on the day that he wed her. According to Sir Barristan Selmy of the Kingsguard, Aerys lusted after Tywin's wife during the bedding custom. Queen Rhaella Targaryen dismissed Joanna from her service, so the young bride returned to Casterly Rock. In 266, Joanna gave birth to twins Cersei and Jaime. When Lord Tytos Lannister died in 267 AC, climbing a flight of stairs to visit his second mistress, Tywin succeeded his father as Lord of Casterly Rock and Warden of the West. Upon his return to the Rock, Tywin forced the mistress on a walk of atonement through Lannisport before banishing her from the Westerlands. Aerys and Tywin ruled the realm from Casterly Rock that year. Relations were frayed between the king and his hand when they returned to King's Landing in 268, and Aerys began to overrule many of Tywin's decisions and appointments. Tywin offered to resign after Aerys insulted Joanna in 272 AC, but Aerys refused the resignation. Disaster struck that same year when Joanna died, giving birth to Tyrion, a dwarf considered a hideous monster. Tywin was devastated by her untimely death and took no further wife. Jaerion Lannister once told his nephew Tyrion that the best part of Tywin died when Joanna did, and Tywin has blamed Tyrion for Joanna's death. Some people joked it was Tywin and not the king who really ruled the land. When Sir Ilyn Payne, the captain of Tywin's guards, made such a comment, Aerys had the knight's tongue removed. Tywin once visited Lys while serving as a hand. During the tournament in honor of Viserys' birth in Lannisport, the small folk of Lannisport cheered twice as loud for Tywin as they did for their king. Tension increased during the tourney when Aerys refused Tywin's offer to betroth Cersei to his heir, Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, as Aerys considered Tywin to be a servant. Aerys also refused to allow Jaime to serve as Rhaegar's squire. In 277 AC, Tywin advised Aerys against meeting with Denys Darkland, Lord of Duskendale, over a trade issue, and the king ended up imprisoned by House Darkland in the Dun Fort. In response to the defiance of Duskendale, Tywin blockaded the town by land and sea. Tywin eventually threatened to storm the town, but Barristan of the Kingsguard was able to infiltrate Duskendale and rescue the king. In the aftermath of his captivity, Aerys came to believe that Tywin had intended for the king to die there and be replaced by Rhaegar, who would then marry Tywin's daughter Cersei. When Steffon Baratheon drowned in the sinking of Shipbreaker Bay, Aerys feared that the Lord of Storm's End had somehow been assassinated by Tywin. Aerys decided to only meet with Tywin in the presence of the Kingsguard. Tywin hoped to betroth Jaime to Lysa Tully, the second daughter of Lord Hoster Tully. In 281 AC, however, Aerys raised the 15-year-old Jaime to Kingsguard to replace Sir Harling Grandison, robbing Tywin of his prized heir and making Jaime a hostage to use against his father. Pleading illness, Tywin resigned and returned to Casterly Rock. He was replaced as hand with Lord Owen Merryweather. Tywin chose not to attend the Great Turn at Harrenhal in 281 AC. When Robert's rebellion began, Lord Tywin ignored calls to arms from both King Aerys and the rebels. After the king dismissed Lord Owen Merryweather, Tywin disapproved of Jon Connington, Lord of Griffin's Roost, and a headstrong friend of Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, as the new hand of the king. Tywin took no side until after the Battle of the Trident, in which Robert Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End, slew Rhaegar. Tywin rode from Casterly Rock to the capital of King's Landing. After Aerys was convinced by Pycelle that Tywin had come to aid him, the king ordered the gates of the city opened for Tywin. His Westermen proceeded to sack the city, however. Aerys was killed by Jaime Lannister before Tywin's forces arrived at the Red Keep, but Gregor Clegane and Armory Lorch, knights sworn to Tywin and under Tywin's orders, slew Rhaegar's wife, Elia Martell, and her 2 young children. Tywin wrapped the bodies in crimson Lannister cloaks to better conceal the blood and presented them to Robert as a token of fealty. While earning House Lannister the hatred of both House Martell of Dorne and the population of King's Landing, this act led to the marriage of Robert Baratheon and Cersei. Tywin offered Targaryen loyalists like Alliser Thorne and Jeremy Riker the choice between taking the Black or facing execution. After Robert's rebellion, Tywin returned to Casterly Rock, where he continued to serve as Warden of the West. When Tywin discovered his son Tyrion had wed a common girl, Tysha, which in Tywin's eyes would make House Lannister a laughing stock, Tywin taught him a sharp lesson. He commanded Tyrion's oldest brother Jaime to name her a prostitute and make Tyrion watch as Tywin gave her over to his garrison, having each man pay the girl a silver coin after raping her. He forced Tyrion to do the same, but paid Tysha a gold coin. Tywin earned the enmity of his son forever for that act, but Tywin did not care, for it was on his other children that he placed all of his hopes. When Tyrion turned 16, Tywin refused to allow him to travel and see the world as Tywin's brothers had in their youth, fearing Tyrion would bring further shame on House Lannister. Tywin instead put his son in charge of the drains and cisterns of Casterly Rock. In 289 AC, Balon Greyjoy began his rebellion against Robert Baratheon through the burning of the Lannister fleet anchored at Lannisport. After this defeat of the Greyjoys, Tywin rebuilt his fleet and hosted another tourney at Lannisport. Tywin sent men in search of Jaerion Lannister after his brother disappeared, but the Laughing Lion was not found. Due to Robert's financial mismanagement of the realm, as well as his own new connection to the throne by marriage, Tywin frequently lent money to the crown, placing the court in King's Landing in debt of over 3 million gold dragons to House Lannister. Tywin was unsuccessful in 3 attempts to purchase Valyrian steel longswords from impoverished lesser houses. Tywin brought a retinue to King's Landing for the tourney on Prince Joffrey's name day. And everything taking place after that is what we see in the show Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed Let me know in the comments who you want to see in my next video and who you want to know more about in the world of ice and fire. Thanks for watching.